Welcome to Football Madness. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share this. Now let's go have some fun. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of Football Madness. For those of you that is just joining us for the first time, you are welcome. This is a nice place to be. We're going to have fun here. Remember to share this with your friends, with your family members. Let's introduce everyone else to Football Madness. For those of you that have been here before, you know how we do it. Get your food, get your drink. Let's have some fun. It's going to be a long one. Let's have the conversation in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Let's keep the conversation going. Welcome to another episode of Football Madness. Now let's have some fun. On this week's episode of Football Madness, we will be reviewing our match week 1 from the Premier League football that we saw last weekend, and we will be previewing match week 2 that we plan to see this weekend. The correction your team needs to make so that your team do not lose this coming weekend. If you know your coach, send this video to your coach because they are going to need it. We are going to analyze, we are going to discuss the tactical details, correction that your team needs to make in this match week 2 so your team do not end up being the loser of week 2. All right, so take this message and send it to your coach if you plan to win this weekend. Starting with Manchester United. We saw Manchester United versus Fulham last weekend. Manchester United won 1-0. So the question now becomes, what did we learn from the weekend game? What did we see? What tactical nuances need to be corrected going into week 2? So first of all, what did we see in week 1? So in week 1, we saw Manchester United started the game playing 4-3-3, and then I think like 20 minutes later, the game transitioned to 4-2-4. Fulham started the game pressing Manchester United. It looked like Manchester United were trying to get their feet into the game. But like 20 minutes later, I think like about 15-20 minutes later, Manchester United were fully into the game and they end up pushing Fulham back, transitioning into a 4-2-4. So it looks good, but the problem becomes that player like Bruno Fernandes, player like Messi Mount cannot finish. So Manchester United were playing without a recognized striker. Bruno kept missing chances. Mount kept missing chances. So when you play a game like that, you have to have a recognized striker on the field. So going into the game, I think Manchester United plan will be like, let's hold possession, which they did very well. Let's have players in the midfield that can win the midfield from Fulham, which they did very well. But the thing is that we cannot have another week of Bruno playing false 9 or Mount playing false 9 interchanging with Bruno. We cannot have another week of that. That will not be good for Manchester United. Fulham is a good start. We saw Zigzil. Zigzil came in, had a great game. A good start for a Manchester United career. That's what I told you guys. Get Zigzil in the box and Zigzil will score goals. So now going forward, we need to remove Mount and we need to introduce Zigzil. So Zigzil has to start going forward for Manchester United. That is a player that you have to get in the box. Especially now that Højlund is injured, you need to have Zigzil in the box. You need to have Zigzil starting the games. We need to talk about Rashford. We need to have a discussion about Rashford. You see, Rashford, if you are listening to me, you have till the international break. If I were a Manchester United fan, I will be clamoring for that too. You have till the international break to show your worth. You can no longer live on past glory. No, that won't be accepted. You have to step up to the plate and you have to give Manchester United fans what they want to see from you, which is goals. That's it. They don't want to see you running all the way to the touchline. They don't want to see you running. They don't all those things. No, they don't want to. They want to see you scoring goals. So you have till the international break. After the international break, and you are not delivering, you are not scoring goals, you have to go to the bench. Yeah. Manchester United is a big club. There is nothing wrong with having players like Rashford on the bench, players like Mount on the bench. That makes your bench stronger. So that is good for you, Manchester United fans. So Rashford has till the international break. If not, start calling for him to go to the bench. Then when you look at the game against Fulham, we saw Mino, Casemiro, we saw them step up, push Fulham back. Even the defenders, the centre-back were able to come up the way to the midfield to hold the ball. That is a development. Because last season against Fulham was the dominant side. But now we are seeing that Manchester United can actually hold on to possession and they can push their opponent back. So that is a good development. That's something new that I've seen from the first game, and I'm impressed. I like that. So now when we look at going forward for next week, Manchester United will play in Brighton. This will be a tougher challenge for them. Playing Brighton is a team that will attack you. They will have possession. Brighton is a solid team, even after losing their coach, De Zerbi. That is a solid team. In short, like you see, Brighton's ability to plug and play, both players, both coach, need to be studied. Like, whatever is going on down there in Brighton needs to be studied. They need to make a YouTube documentary on that. They will get a new coach and bam, they are playing good football. They will get a new player, bam, that player is synced in, that player is giving them good football. We saw Brighton last week against Everton. They destroyed Everton. Everton was nowhere to be found. They took Everton to football school and they schooled Everton. 3-0 demolition, like it was a massacre. Like Everton was nowhere to be found. And mind you, this was at Everton. So coming back home to Brighton now against Manchester United this week, this will be where Manchester United will learn what they have and what they need to do. Going forward into this week, like I was saying earlier, you cannot have a midfield of Mount, Mino, and Casemiro. That midfield has no creation. You have to rest Mount and bring in Zigzil and let Bruno play 10 right behind Zigzil. Let Zigzil be the recognized striker on the team. Let Zigzil start that game against Brighton, because Brighton is going to bring it. Brighton is going to take that game to United, and United has to be ready. United cannot fall back and defend against Brighton. You see, if they should do that and rely on counter-attack, United will fail. In order to win against Brighton, in order to be successful against Brighton, United has to take the game to Brighton. Right from the beginning of the game, when the referee blow the whistle, Manchester United has to take the game to Brighton. They cannot rely on their defense. No. You cannot play Brighton at home and think your defense will hold. You have to make sure that Brighton respect your strength. Brighton respect your player. Brighton respect what you are coming with. You cannot fall back against Brighton. So take the game to Brighton. Put Mount on the bench. Let Zigzil come in. Rashford has till the international break. If Rashford does not deliver by the time international break is coming through, let Rashford to go to the bench. The likes of Garnacho can come in and we can see what Garnacho can do. In the attacking position, going against Brighton, you can play Rashford, you can play Zigzil, and then you can play Diallo on the right. If Rashford does not deliver come around the international break, Rashford can go to the bench and Garnacho can start starting. Yes. Then you can start playing Garnacho, Zigzil, and Diallo. And when Højlund comes in, Højlund can be interchanging with Zigzil. If they decide to keep Sancho on the team and Sancho is delivering too, you can decide to start changing Sancho with Diallo. Man U has a lot of options. That team is good. That team is solid. Do not get compromised by playing player that is not giving you anything. That is where the problem was. When you start playing Rashford based on his name instead of based on his performance, you will have a problem. When you are playing Casemiro, Mino, and Mount, that midfield has no creativity. That midfield is a workhorse. I know that Manchester United did not spend all those money on those midfield just to have players that will run around. They need Bruno in the 10. and put a recognized striker right in front of Bruno. Bruno cannot play false 9 and Bruno cannot be the striker. No, that will only take you so far. That will not give you the result you want. In order to at maximum result, maximum success, you have to play a recognized striker. Let Bruno play in the number 10 role and play Mino and Casemiro behind Bruno. When Ugarte comes in, you can take out Casemiro and play Ugarte and Mino right behind Bruno Fernandes. But the mistake you don't want to make, now listen and listen carefully, the mistake you don't want to make against Brighton, we saw Mitoma. Mitoma is back. Mitoma is a player that is going to attack you. Mitoma has no, he's just like Neto. They don't go back. They come at you. Minta, we saw Minta in the first game for Brighton against Everton. Minta looks good. Adinga is still there. That's another player that is coming. They have attacking wingers, players that is going to attack the flank. That Manchester United defense has to be solid. Do not get caught lacking. So Manchester United defense has to be solid. And then when you look on the right hand side, either they start with Minta, because like I said, Minta looked good against Everton. He played the first half. I think I played the second half, so they can go with either player. So whomever they go with, those are attacking wingers. They will attack that Manchester United defense. So Manchester United has to make sure that they push Brighton back. Do not let Brighton get comfortable. Once Brighton gets comfortable in that game, it is going to be a problem. Especially Mitoma. Mitoma is going to be their key player. Brighton has signed 3 wingers this summer already. They want to attack everybody's fullback. Whichever teams they go against, they want to attack the fullback position. That is Brighton's primary way of attacking you. They will use the wing, they will use the width, and they are looking to attack your defense. So Manchester United, do not get caught lacking. Do not be complete. Just before your defense has to be solid. They have to show up. Focus right from the get-go. From the ref blow the whistle, be focused and be ready to go. Tell your coach Ten Hag to make this correction. Like I said, drop Mount, let Zigzag come in. Rashford has till the international break. Diallo looks good so far. Keep Diallo going. And then in the second half, you can sub him off. You can bring Garnacho in. So that's what Manchester United need to do against Brighton. Make all this correction and your team will be good for match week 2. For Liverpool, we saw Liverpool last week in match week 1 versus Ipswich. Liverpool won that game 2-0. That was a good game for Liverpool. And in slot, you had a good game. That's a good first game. Introduction to the Premier League, great. But do not get caught by the Premier League press. When they are interviewing you next time, please do not throw players under the bus. I do not support the fact that he threw Kwanzaa under the bus, said it was a tactical sub. That is not good for his development. Kwanzaa is still a young player that is looking to break into the Liverpool team. Do not derail his confidence. Do not shatter his confidence. Let the young man grow. You teach him what you need to teach him. Caution him in the dressing room, but do not step out in the press and say, I made a tactical sub. He was losing his one-on-one battle. He was losing his area. No, we do not want to see that, and we do not want to hear that. You have to caution him in the dressing room. Keep that in-house. That is a player that we are looking at. That's a young player for the future. Do not shatter his confidence. Do not derail his confidence. Let him develop. He's still a young player. Konate is there. Konate can start. Konate is an experienced international player. Konate can start. You can bring Konate in. You can say, oh, I plan on playing them 45 minutes each. You can say something like that. Do not go in the press next time and say, oh, it was a tactical sub. Do not get caught. Premier League press is going to chew you up. So remember that going forward. Do not make such a mistake again. So what did we learn against Ipswich? Gravenberch is a good player. He had a good game against Ipswich, but we still have to remember that it is Ipswich. Ipswich is a team that came up from the Championship. This is a team that Liverpool should be destroying on a normal day. So we are not going to look much into that. But he had a great game. My man of the match, if you ask me, I will vote him as my man of the match. Gravenberch was superb in that game. Liverpool look good. Players were rotate, like the sub was good. The second half, Liverpool scored the 2 goals in the second half, so that looks good. But now going forward next week against Brentford will be a bigger test. Brentford has better players. Brentford has way better attackers that is going to trouble Liverpool defense. They have quality players. Some of the players there that are like, even 2 of Liverpool players just went there. Carvalho and Van de Beek. Those 2 players they just signed, a midfielder and a defender from Liverpool. So Brentford is a team that is looking to grow. They have young players that are fast. Wissa is going to test you. Buemo is there. So they have players that will give you trouble. If Tony decides to play this week, that will be a game to watch. If the coach decides to play Tony this week, that will be a game for Liverpool. So Liverpool has to be ready. So now the test now become, can Gravenberch step up against Brentford midfield? Can he give us the same performance he gave against Ipswich or even better? So these are questions that need to be asked. Then when we look at Liverpool defense, you can bench Kwanzaa for Konate. Yes, it's okay. Let Kwanzaa sit on the bench. Let Konate start. Keep the defense like it is, apart from the Kwanzaa and Konate rotation. Then when you go into the midfield, play the same midfield. I would like to see Gravenberch playing DM again alongside McAllister. McAllister can help him. He is good on the half turn. We saw that against Ipswich. Gravenberch could receive the ball from the defense and transition into the forward. He could have had 2 assists against Ipswich if not for Luis Diaz and Salah missing those 2 chances that he created for them. So we could have seen him playing the DM role and having 2 assists against Ipswich, but we look forward to seeing him against Brentford. Let's see that again. Let's see how we hold up against a better players, against better team. Let's see. Ipswich is just a test, and Ipswich is still a championship team that is coming up, so they don't have good players like Brentford have. So let's look forward to that challenge this weekend. Then when we look at the forward line, you see Elliott and Nunes has to be given playing time. If they don't play again in this match week 2, then Liverpool has a problem. Elliott looked good in preseason. Elliott looked good last season, and we cannot come into this season now with no playing time for Elliott. That is not possible. If Szoboszlai starts the game, Elliott has to come in the second half. It is paramount that we do this. We cannot have a game that Elliott does not have playing time, especially 2 weeks in a row. The same thing goes for Nunes. Nunes has to play. Because when you start having these players on the bench and no playing time, they start losing confidence. All the progress that was made last season on Elliott, on Nunes, will be gone and we'll be back to square one. So you have, I understand that they might not be your favorite player. Star slot, I understand that these players might not be your favorite player, or you might not like them, or whatever reason it is, but you have to give them playing time. You have to keep the team going. Do not start benching player that they don't see any playing time. We are coming back to Anfield this Sunday, so Elliott, Nunes has to be given playing time. We've seen Liverpool sold a lot of youth players this summer already. So while you are doing that, please, FSG, use those money and go sign a DM. Do not just sell. Use that money. Transfer window is still open. Go sign a DM. It's going to be important going forward. Liverpool has a lot of games this season. Champions League has more games this season. So you are going to need that. When injuries start coming, the rotation is going to be important. So let's look forward to the game against Brentford. The only correction that needs to be made is rotate Kwanzaa for Konate, keep the forward line the same, and then make sub that we will see Elliott and Nunes this week. We cannot have another week without Elliott and Nunes not playing any minute. It is important for their development. It's important for the progress they've made so far from last season to coming into this season. We have to see them on the field. So slot, you have to do better in your interview. Do not throw player on the bus. We don't want that. Do not throw any player under the bus anymore. We don't want to hear that, and that is not good for development of player. Keep that in-house. Thank you. And Liverpool cannot start this game against Brentford slowly, because do not let Brentford get comfortable. We saw against Ipswich, the game started slowly. Liverpool came on in the second half and picked up the pace. But coming back to Anfield, first game at Anfield for Arne Slot, you have to start the game like a man on fire. You have to go at Brentford from the beginning of the whistle. So do not start the game slowly. Give everything you have from once they blow the whistle, get the player mentally ready and let them go from the get-go. Arsenal. We saw Arsenal on the match week 1. Arsenal look like they never left from last season. They continued exactly where they stopped. Arsenal looked good. The players came out from that. They were ready to go. Arsenal versus Wolves, we saw that game. Arsenal won that game 2-0. So that was good for them. 3 points in the bag. Continued from where they stopped. But the major thing for me from that game was Partey. It is good to see Partey playing football again. Partey being fit this season, that will be a good thing for Arsenal in the long run this season if Arsenal can keep Partey fit. So seeing Partey play for 90 minutes against Wolves, I like that. That's a player I enjoy watching his game. He's a good player. Alongside Odegaard, alongside Rice, this is good for Arsenal because Partey and Rice can hold down the fog in the midfield while Odegaard is allowed to just play the free role. He can play the number 10, he can drift wide, he can move around and create chances for the strikers and for the wingers. When you have Partey and Rice behind Odegaard does not have to worry about defense. He can drift, he can just go and do his own thing. It can be, don't worry anything about defense, free his mind from defensive responsibility, allow him to focus on creating, being free, playing the game that he enjoying his football. So that will be important for Arsenal. Another thing that we saw against Wolves was Havertz. You see, if I were Jesus, I would be worried because when they play Havertz in the striking position and he's scoring goals like a striker, he's creating assists. If I were Jesus, I would be very, very, very worried because he's slowly and gently drifting away from that starting position. If care is not taken, Jesus has to find a way to get back into Arsenal starting team. So that was important for him to maybe watching from the bench would have teaching 1 or 2 lessons that, when I get on the field, I need to step up. Jesus should be worried because the way Havertz is going now, when Havertz starts scoring goals, Jesus will not be able to get back in that number 9 position again. No, that position will be gone. He will have to find either he's comfortable coming for the bench or he find a position on the wide. That will be Jesus' option. So Jesus needs to be worried because Havertz is looking good. That man is looking like a bad man. Yes, right. Scoring goals like that, that is a striker's finish. The goal he scored against Wolves, that is the definition of the striker finish. The moment Saka crossed the ball in, Havertz was straight chasing after it to get his head on the ball. So that is important for Arsenal. Then going forward, we've seen this Arsenal team. We saw Zinchenko. So for Zinchenko, you see, this game against Wolves, Zinchenko started. They took Zinchenko out and then they brought in Timber. It's good to see Timber. Timber was out all last season with injury. It's good to see him playing football again, but yet his performance was not nothing to write about. He lost some possession. They were stealing the ball from his feet. So I think he still need to get used to Premier League football. This will be like his first season technically, since he didn't get to play much last. I think he got injured in the first game of the season last season. So this will be his first season. So we still need to give him time. Arsenal can give him some time. Let him get used to the Premier League pace of football. So that's one thing for Timber. But going into the next week game against Aston Villa, this will be a bigger test. So the correction Arsenal need to make is Arsenal need to keep Zinchenko on the bench. Calafiori need to come in for Zinchenko because against Aston Villa, Arsenal will need to be defensively minded. Zinchenko is not a good defender. Yes, he can play the inverted fullback, step into the midfield and help them give support in the midfield, in creating chances, in keeping the possession. Against Aston Villa, Calafiori need to start. Let Calafiori start as a left back. Be defensively sound. You have to be aware of what Aston Villa is throwing at you. You see, Unai Emery, that man does not like Arsenal. That man has a vendetta against Arsenal. That man has a problem with Arsenal. Last season, he beat Arsenal home and away. If I could remember, I think he was 1-0 at home and 2-0 at Emirates. So, yeah, it was 1-0 at Villa Park, yeah, and then 2-0 at Emirates. So, going forward this season, do not underestimate Aston Villa. Aston Villa has showed us last season that they can go toe-to-toe with Arsenal. They do not respect Arsenal, so Arsenal has to be ready. Arsenal need to be defensively cautious. So play Calafiori in the Zinchenko role. Keep the midfield as it is. Odegaard, Rice, Partey, let those three guys play the midfield. The attacking line, now you need to make a sub. Martinelli has to go back to the bench. I don't know what it is with Martinelli, but Martinelli needs to learn that when you are given an opportunity to play, you have to deliver. You don't want to be a bystander in a team like Arsenal that want to win the league. No. So for me, let Jesus come in that left-hand position. Havertz maintain his position as the striker, and then let Saka cook. Saka does what Saka does. Prince of London, star boy. We know what Saka does. Saka continued from exactly where he was last year, scoring goals, creating plays. Saka does what Saka does. Like every time you see Saka, Saka gives you the same performance. He won't shy from the game. He won't go hiding. Saka delivers. Yeah, Saka is a good player for Arsenal. So let him play the right-hand side. Let Jesus come in on the left. Havertz stay in as a striker. Martinelli go back to the bench, watch the game, and learn one or two. And then when you come on, show us that you are ready to play. And then when you go to the midfield, keep the midfield the same. Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. That is a fantastic midfield. Now, you see, this season, Arsenal is going to give Man City a headache. Like, if last season was this is going to be worse. Arsenal is going to chase down Man City this season. I believe that one. Arsenal is going to give Man City a problem this year. That midfield is good. That defense is already solid from last year. The only problem Arsenal need now is a player that can score goals, and Havertz is looking like that. Havertz is looking like a player that can step up and score goals. So now they need to fix the left wing position. If Martinelli is not ready to step up, let Jesus come in. Or better yet, you have Trossard too. Let Trossard come in. You need your players to be firing. And when your players is firing, you are winning games. You put the pressure back on Manchester City. Yeah. You turn the pressure back on them. So that will be the play going against Aston Villa, because Aston Villa, we saw that game against West Ham. Aston Villa looks good. Aston Villa gave West Ham the game of their life. From the get-go, they were on West, like they had possession of the ball, they created chances, they moved the ball, they did everything they wanted to do in that game against West Ham. When they sub in and Duran came in. Duran looked good. Duran is a player that is looking to finish on his first time. Once you play that pass into him, he's looking to shoot. He had a chance where he could have squared the ball to his teammate and they would have had an easy tap in. The man still wanted to finish from a difficult angle. That is what Duran is looking to do. Once you play him that pass, first time finish. That is his favorite left. Once he gets it on his left foot, first time he's shooting. That is Duran football. So Arsenal, do not get caught lacking. Do not make mistake. Raya looked good against Wolves. I was impressed. He makes some very, very good save. I was so impressed. Raya was actually a player, like he impressed me against Wolves. Like he was very solid. He was good. He made very good saves. When they were calling his number, he showed up. The man did not want in hiding. When they played shot on target, he saved them. When they were heading the ball, he saved them. So Raya looked good against Wolves. So good for Raya going forward against Aston Villa. He will need to step up against Aston Villa, because Aston Villa is a good side. This is a Champions League team, because Aston Villa is going to be in the Champions League this year. So they are definitely going to give Arsenal a tough game. So I look forward to watching that game. That will be my game of the week. I look forward to watching the most. Like that game will be the game of the week. So against Aston Villa, you need to get Zinchenko on the bench. Let Calafiori come in. In the midfield, keep the midfield the same. For the forward line, Martinelli need to go back to the bench and watch either Jesus or Trossard. But preferably, I'll let Jesus start. I'll prefer to see Jesus on the left-hand side. So let Jesus come in and start. Because Aston Villa will be the test. Aston Villa is a team that is going to come at Arsenal. And this is going to be at Villa Park. So Aston Villa is going to start that game on a high. They believe that they've beaten Arsenal twice last season. They do not fear Arsenal. So Arsenal has to go there and show them that we are Arsenal and we are not just any small team. Go there and give Aston Villa a game. So we look forward to watching that game this week. Manchester City. We saw Manchester City versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last week. That game put me to sleep. Yeah, that game was boring. So the matchup between Chelsea and Man City, yeah, that game was boring. It picked up a little bit in the second half, but on the ground, when I look at that game as a whole, yeah, the game was boring. That was a boring game. So for Manchester City has learned that they can play without Rodri and they can win without Rodri. So that's important for them. So Guardiola now knows that he can set up his team. He can play Kovacic as the DM, and then they can pick up points, especially going away against Chelsea. So that's understandable. So now going forward, they know that is something that is possible. They can win without Rodri. They can play without Rodri. So that's a development for them. And now this week they pick up Gundogan. So that's another player that is important for their midfield. Gundogan will come in. Gundogan is a player that can give them goals from midfield. So Kovacic stepped up, gave them a goal. So now we know that Kovacic can score from midfield. Gundogan can score from midfield. Rodri can score from midfield. De Bruyne can score from midfield. Foden can score from midfield. Oh my lord. Silva can score from midfield. Yeah, this Manchester City team. Something needs to be done. Everyone in this team can score. Like, these are goal scorers. Like, everyone on this team can score. So what did we learn from the game? Rico Lewis, there's a player in Rico Lewis. You see, from that game against Chelsea, Rico Lewis stepped up. He had a good game. There's a player there. There's a player there. It might not be everyone's favorite player, but there's a player in Rico Lewis. Yeah, I believe so. I strongly believe so that there's a player there. And give him time, let him develop. He's going to be a player in the league. Yeah, there's a player in there. So that's one thing we can look at going forward in the next game. Like Kovacic stepped up, so that is a good thing for Manchester City. Not only did he play a good game, he also scored, so that's good for his confidence going forward. So now going to the game against Ipswich this week. Somebody better start calling 911. Like, literally, somebody call 911. Like, we need to be singing that going into this week, because you see Ipswich going to Etihad Stadium. Oh my lord. It is going to be a massacre. It is going to be a sacrifice. It is going to be a disaster. Like, someone is about to be crucified, because you see what Manchester City is going to do to Ipswich at Etihad. Yeah, just get the police and the fire service on standby. Like, call them and have them on standby, because this is going to be dangerous. I saw Ipswich against Liverpool, and when I look at that team against Manchester City at Etihad, that same Ipswich team, oh mamma mia. Yeah. Look, if you are a fantasy player, you play fantasy on a regular, you have any Manchester City player on your team, give them the captain. If you have Haaland, captain Haaland. If you have De Bruyne, captain De Bruyne. If you have Foden, captain Foden. Even if you only have their defender, give them the captain. Because the game against Ipswich, oh my lord, that game is going to be, literally, we are going to label that game, welcome to the Premier League for Ipswich. You see, after playing Liverpool, you go on to play Manchester City. That is what you call welcome to the Premier League package. Because what Manchester City is going to do to Ipswich, it will be illegal. Yeah, we will need to report them. Because looking at that team, I do not think that Ipswich team will be able to hold up against Manchester City. No, not possible. Can't be the thing. So going forward into the Ipswich game, Foden has to start. So I think Savinho picked up a knock. So Foden came in at halftime, so he can start that game against Ipswich. We look forward to seeing our Premier League Player of the Year from last season. We cannot have him on the bench, obviously. So he can come in for Savinho. Doku can hold on to his place. If Doku is not playing, you can see Grealish. Grealish is still there. We've not seen Grealish so far. I don't know what Grealish is doing. In Manchester City is beginning to become suspicious. Someone need to investigate Grealish, because at this point Grealish need to show us something. Also, what else do we need to look forward to? I just feel like it's just going to be a massacre. Let's see, it's just going to be a game that is Manchester City is just going to destroy Ipswich. There is nothing to write home about in that game. It's going to be a massacre. Manchester City is going to sacrifice Ipswich to the Premier League. That's it. Welcome to the Premier League package. This is big boys football. This is not championship football. Manchester City is going to destroy Ipswich. That's it. That's all. I feel for them. Someone call 911. Get the fire service out there. Oof. You gotta feel for Ipswich. Yeah. Dear Lord, before we go into this next team, we want to pray for them. Father Lord, this team is confused. This team is addicted. They are an addict and they need to be saved. Dear Lord, please save this team for us. Amen. Chelsea versus Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. We saw that game last weekend. The positive from that game for Chelsea will be that the players played to their best ability. That's what I can say for their positive. Jackson did everything Jackson does. He plays everywhere, he does everything, but he cannot score goals. So Jackson couldn't score goals. A midfield of Enzo, Lavia, and Caicedo. Please, Chelsea, we do not want to see that again. On behalf of football madness, we do not want to see that anymore. Let us scratch that away from the books. Okay. The goalkeeper, Sanchez, I think Sanchez has to be dropped because Sanchez is not Chelsea goalkeeper going forward in the long run. You already signed a new goalkeeper, Jorgensen. Yes. So let Jorgensen come in and start. That is why you brought him in the first place. Let him come in and start. The defense, you can keep the defense the same way. That is fine. But when we go to that midfield, please, 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 please do not play Lavia, Enzo, and Caicedo again. That is dangerous and that is illegal. They could actually be sued for that. Do you know you could be persecuted for that? Maresca, you need to be arrested. If I see that three midfielder that is playing a game, starting for Chelsea, I will call 911 and report you. That is illegal and that is catastrophic. We do not want to see that again. So you either play Lavia alongside Enzo or you play Lavia with Caicedo. Do not play three of them together again. That is dangerous. That was the reason why Manchester City were just running all over Chelsea in the first game. You have to play Palmer as the 10. So you play Enzo and Lavia, or you play Caicedo and Lavia. But Lavia has to start. Lavia is a good player. Lavia is a player that can receive the ball from the centre backs, turn on the half turn and transition the ball into the forward line. He's great at that. He can play with his back. He can move around. He can defend. He showed that against Manchester City. He was the best player in the midfield against Manchester City. So Lavia has to start. So now, between Enzo and Caicedo, you can take one of them and put alongside Lavia. And in front of them, play Palmer as the 10. And the forward line, Maresca, listen carefully. The game against Manchester City, we saw Nkuku playing out wide. Nkuku cannot be the winger. No. Nkuku is just coming back from injury. Nkuku does not have the pace, does not have the shot. Nkuku does not have it to play left winger. Take Nkuku, put him as the striker, let him be the first 9 that is drifting into the midfield a little bit and going to look for goals. Let's move Jackson to the left-hand side. See, Jackson is physical, Jackson is fast, Jackson is strong. Jackson gives you everything aside from scoring goals. So now let's move him to the wing. This season, let's transition Jackson to the wing. Let's not play Jackson as a striker again, dear Lord Jesus. Maresca, please listen to me. Do not play Jackson as the striker anymore. Let Jackson go to the wing. Let Nkuku play as the striker, and then Neto play on the right-hand side winger. See, that is the team right there. I have solved your problem for you. Just listen to me and you will be saved. Listen to me and you will not have problem. Because when you don't listen to me, Maresca, when you don't listen to me, you know what happens? You're about to lose your job. That's as simple as it gets. You will be the manager that gets fired in the Premier League. It's that simple. That midfield, you have to play Lavia and Enzo, or Lavia and Caicedo. Play Palmer as the 10. Play Jackson on the left-hand wing. Play Nkuku as the striker. And play Neto as the right-hand wing. And then you can sub in Madueke for Neto. See? And then you can bring in Modric for Jackson on the left hand if you want to make a sub. But the mistake you do not want to make, is playing 3 defensive midfielders. No. Those three holding midfielders, no, they cannot do. You need an attacking midfielder. You cannot put Palmer on the wing. That is, take Palmer to the 10 position and then move Jackson to the left-hand side, play Nkuku as the striker, first 9, and then play Neto on the right-hand side. The formation they play against Zivet in the Conference League, please, that 3-4-3, do not play it again. We do not want to see that again. Gone are those days that Chelsea was playing 3-4-3. This current Chelsea squad, this current Chelsea team need to be playing 4-5-1, or they can play 4-3-3. Do not play 3-4-3 anymore. No, that won't be good for their football. So what we've seen from the first game is Jackson is a good player, but he cannot score. So move him to the flank. Nkuku is a player that wants to score. He's a player that wants to be in the middle, in front of the 18 box. He's looking to find goals. Play him as the first 9 or striker. Call it whatever you like. On the left-hand side, you have Neto. On the right-hand side, you have Neto / Madueke. So you can start Neto and bring in Madueke at the second half. In the midfield, Palmer has to be in the 10th position. Behind him has to be Lavia and Enzo, or Lavia and Caicedo. Maresca, this is how you get Chelsea going. Listen to me and save your job. Going forward against Wolves, Chelsea is playing Wolves this weekend. Wolves is going to be a handful for Chelsea, because Wolves is a team that keep to their own football. They will give you a game. So they are going to give Chelsea a game. So Chelsea have to make this correction that I have just labeled now. And once they make this correction against Wolves, Chelsea can beat Wolves. I believe Chelsea can go on to Wolves and beat Wolves. Now, this is my warning to Chelsea. This is my warning to Maresca. Maguire, send that guy to the under-21. I do not want to see that guy playing football anymore. No, please. Send that guy to the under-21. Dewsbury Hall, send him to the bench. If possible, send him to under-21. There is nothing that guy is offering Chelsea that Chelsea does not already have. Listen to me again one more time. Dewsbury Hall need to go to the bench, or better yet, go back to the under-21. There is nothing that guy is offering Chelsea midfield that Chelsea does not already have. Maguire, send that one to under-21. Not even put him on the bench. Don't even bring him to match day. Leave him at home. I do not want to see this guy play football anymore. it is dangerous to my eye and it is dangerous to my mental health to watch this guy play football anymore. No. So going forward, and also another player again is Viega. Viega, is it Renato? Yeah, Viega Renato. Yeah. Just cancel that one contract. Cancel his contract. Delete him. Just go to his name, go to his profile, click delete, and that's it. What are you doing with this player? I do not. How did Chelsea get here? You have good players that can even get playing time, and you have Magoy having playing time. Dewsbury Hall has playing time. Viega has playing time. Oh my God, this is catastrophe, man. This is illegal. This is a disaster. Chelsea. Look at me, Chelsea. Look at me, Chelsea. You need to fix this. You need to do better. We cannot have this nonsense. This is nonsense. The game against Everton literally just showed that you cannot play formation A today, formation B tomorrow, and just throwing everything to the wall and see what's stick. No, you have to have a plan. You have to have a system in place. So now going forward, Maresca, make this correction that I have given you today. Go and sin no more. Thank you. Last but not the least, Tottenham Hotspur. Oh my Lord. That is not the real flag. Please, that's not their sign. That's not their logo. That's not the real logo. Please put the correct logo for me. Thank you. Tottenham Hotspur. Can you guys stop stressing out your coach? Can you stop stressing Angie Pog? Like, stop giving this man a hard time, please. Tottenham Hotspur. This man is here to help you guys win. Stop giving him a hard time. We cannot have this man in his year number 2 stressed like this. Son disappeared against Leicester. The game against Leicester, Son was nowhere to be found. Right, you need to put out an ambulance alert and look for Son. Son was nowhere to be found. Son need to do better. Like, he disappeared against Leicester, and that is not acceptable. Johnson, I'm not a fan of Johnson. No, I am not a fan of Johnson. Brennan Johnson, I am not a fan. We need to get back Kulusevski. You need to get him back on the field. Yeah, Kulusevski need to come back in on the field. Kulusevski is a player that will create for the striker. Especially now that you have brought in Solanke. Solanke need players that will create for him. So now that you have Dominic Solanke here, you need to put players beside him that will create for him. So Kulusevski need to come in. Johnson need to be dropped to the bench. Yes. And if Son is not careful, Son will go to the bench too. Because Son cannot have a game where he's disappearing like that against Leicester. This man was like Udini. He was nowhere to be found. So going forward for Tottenham Hotspur, Solanke, great first start. Good job. You stepped in on a short week notice. Did not have that much training time with Tottenham Hotspur, but came in, showed himself, quality player. Good first performance, good debut for him. Now going into week number 2. Week number 2, Johnson need to go to the bench. Kulusevski need to come in. Son, the same way I told Rashford, you have to the international break before I start calling for your own bench. So Son will start, Solanke will start. That is the attack line. The midfield, we saw the concussion sub that they made. The midfielder picked up an injury. Bentancur picked up an injury. So we need Archie Gray. You know, I like that guy. That guy is a good player. I enjoy watching his football. Yeah. Let Archie Gray come in. Archie Gray can step in for Bentancur. Now that Bentancur is going through his concussion protocol, so let Archie Gray come in and give us. Let's see what he has to offer. because that's a player that was good in the championship. So let's see what he would do in the Premier League, because it's a step up, it's a different football. So let's see what he will give Tottenham Hotspur so he can come in for better call. The players has to do better. They created a lot of chances against Leicester and they did not finish their chances. So going forward against Everton is a team that is lacking confidence right now. Everton is a team that is not doing too well. They did not look good against Brighton. They were destroyed against Brighton. Brighton took them to football school, kept them at the back of the class. When the class was over, everyone was leaving. Brighton told them, sit down in the class. It's not your time to leave. Brighton was bullying them. That's it. Brighton was just bullying. They were just bullying Everton in the first game. So Everton is not a team that will, this season, they will just be somewhere in the second half of the table, just between 13, 14, or if possible, that they will just be hanging around. It's not a team that is going to give us any much to watch this season. I do not look forward to watching Everton football. Not at all. There's nothing to watch there. So key point for Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur going against Everton need to finish their chances. Son need to step up. Son cannot, he is not allowed to disappear. Son has to step up against Everton. Create chances by bringing in Kulusevski. So Kulusevski will be able to create chances for them. Solanke will score goals. Just create chances for him. He's a striker that will score goals. So the sub player, people coming in from the bench, when you come in for Tottenham Hotspur and you are playing, please do not go ghost. Do not disappear. Actually show up and deliver for Tottenham Hotspur. The game against Leicester, they will call that a write-off, will call that a mistake, will scratch that. But going forward against Everton, from the get-go, from the blowing of the whistle, you have to attack Everton, take the game to Everton, finish your chances, destroy Everton, and call it a day. It's that simple. Do not stress my man, please. Have Messi on Ange Pop. This is his second year. We cannot be stressing this man like this. This man is beginning to look like our AFCON coach that they are pouring water in his head. we cannot be having this man stressed like this. This is just year number 2. And we want this man to be here for a minute. Please, let's give this man a good second year. Let's not stress him out this year. It's too early. Also, Pedro Porro. I think he picked up a knock, but let's see if he will be fit for game number 2. And if you have him in fantasy, you need to be aware of that, because I know that's a player everyone likes to pick up in fantasy football. So be aware that Pedro Porro is injured. So if you need to make a sub, you can make a sub. If you want to hold on to him, depending on who you have on the bench, if he doesn't play, your bench player can come in for him. So you can also do that, but be on the lookout for that. And apart from that, Tottenham Hotspur just need to attack Everton. They played well against Leicester. The only problem against Leicester is they couldn't finish. So now they are going back to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They'll be at home against Everton. They just need to be in front of their crowd, destroy Everton, and call it a day. Now we have come to the end of this week's episode. Thank you for hanging in there with us. For those of you that this is your first time, remember to subscribe, remember to like, remember to share this video, share it on your social media platform. See, if you don't like and if you don't subscribe, they are not going to recommend this page to others. So you need to help us grow. We're on the startup, we're on the come up. So help us grow this page, help us grow this platform by subscribing, by liking, sharing it on your social media platform, introducing other people so they can see Football Madness and they can join us too. We need to grow this family, we need to grow this platform. So help us share, like, subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. YouTube is not going to recommend this page if you don't like, if you don't subscribe. So if you want YouTube to recommend this to other people, like, subscribe. Let's get other people on the Football Madness flow. Let's get them on the waves. Let's have some fun together. All right, so I'll see you guys next time on another episode of Football Madness. Above all, remember, it is not personal. It's just football. It is not personal. It is just football. We're here to discuss. We're here to have a football discussion. Have free field. Have your own. Leave your comment in the comment section. Share your own opinion. Let's keep the conversation going, keep football flowing, keep football alive. Let's do this next time. I'll see you guys.